Wild Wisdom Warriors. Hello, YouTube. Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. This is Lily Kolosova, and this is my journal. Today is April 26th, 2020, and this is Sunday. So, ta-da, Vino Sunday. And I'm going to keep it to this kind of sort of tradition of the Vino Sunday and have this wild questions. So you guys, let's do some questions today. So again, I don't have much control over too much sunlight here. My blinds are broken. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. So here's to you, Vino Sunday. Let's go. Thank you so much for joining me, Danielle, Observer, Ramus, Deanne. Thank you, Diane. Diane. Sorry, there's two, Deanne, Diane. Be true. Hello. Here's to you, everyone. I thank you so much, you guys, for joining me. So I just figured today I wanted to do a journal. You know, I didn't do a journal on Friday, you guys, because I had no words yet to speak more on what I've started in my previous journal that I've done, and that's starting to sort of build this foundation of wellness and sort of start building this foundation within a conscious mind on how we can together find a way to build this wellness foundation for humanity. Because ultimately, when we as shamans know our ultimate sort of responsibility that we take on incarnated here as shamans, meaning as the original expression as it was meant to be here. And so these are the shamans because they have ability and capability also. And this is part of your DNA, that 90% of junk DNA, like I talk about. And so when we start, and today I kind of wanted to talk in one of the questions, because after I read, you guys, what you talk about, and sometimes I catch your questions in my previous journals and sometimes I don't. So now I have a few questions that I kind of want to, that came from you guys in the live chat. So I want to come back and talk about the I motifs, because it was a very good question from Santo a couple of journals ago. So I want to come back and relate that to the current findings and how science right now is sort of going through this transformation with all the new sort of terminology that we are finding in this new age, so to speak, for that which many teachings in the past have left for us in a metaphors and stories and all of that stuff. And many of the traditions of this wisdom have been an oral tradition, and this is also a part of the shamanic sort of journey. So for those of you that know that deep in your heart you are a shaman, and so you know now through your own experience that a people like shamans are the foundation for the collective wellness. And so I want to come back and sort of talk about that question again, about the findings of how our third, fourth, and on DNA strand operates. And this is a physical findings. This is, today's science that we're talking about. And so connecting the spirit and science in a whole different way as shamans do. So this is what I'm going to attempt to do today. And so I want to talk about how we do access, how we access that field, or that for third, fourth, and how it unfolds, the I motifs. How do they unfold? And this is your quantum field, basically. Okay. So anyway, hi Deanne. Hi Pert Cully. Anna. Oh, hello, darling. Hi Santo. Oh, hello Sunshine. Hello Angela. Be true. I think I said hi. Um, Hola. Hola, bonjour. Good day, everyone. Happy Sunday. So, anyway, you guys, so let's talk about, so this is kind of a subjects that in a way a little bit of scientific, because this is how our spirit is. So when you guys are thinking of your questions, of all the wild questions that you have, and typing them in, tonic water and lime, yum. Absolutely, Anna. Absolutely. That's great. So you guys are all keeping up with your health and stuff like that, and rejuvenating your immune system, and re-establishing that equilibrium within your immune system. And that means, in a spiritual connection, you guys, what it does, how when we boost up, like I say, boost up your immune system, and whatever it is that we do, right? All of this is connected, right? Mind, body, and soul. Soul ultimately is, it's like a one wheel that operates together, and that's only then the spirit. And this is why I call that the wellness is this holy trinity. When you have the freedom to be you, an individual creator being in human form. And this is why I speak so much of the fact that those that wanted to be free spiritually in this reality, individually, ultimately, those that achieve that individual freedom of expression of soul, then in return gain this wisdom of how to build a building blocks for the rest of humanity. How to build a foundation, not a building blocks. How to build a foundation for humanity then to contribute, and then how it operates in the responsibility that I say, when you accept an eternity within, it comes with huge responsibility. And this is the responsibility. Then you are responsible for setting the foundation for collective human consciousness. And that's the responsibility of shamans. And that's why it is enormous responsibility. And so this is kind of what I want, sort of the questions, to what I want to be exploring in questions and answers is how do we now move from an individual attainment into establishing the foundation for collective, or for totality, for the change that we became ourselves. And so this is pretty much the challenge that we face today in the world. And then we see right now, because what is in front of our eyes is also, and like I said, I don't really want to focus too much on the illusion, because this is all the dying timeline. We see all the thing, and then it's interesting, I sometimes pick up on things. And it used to be the time how it flows, you guys, it's changed so much for me, because now as I pick up, it's almost in the now time. The next thing is just like I see it manifesting. So the time, the manifesting in time has picked up speed somehow. This is what I'm feeling, and so that's why kind of it's like when I started these journals, one of my first journals were I was talking about the floodgates. And those were the floodgates of the deep waters of collective human consciousness that I was feeling like they were going to burst open any day now. And in a way, I feel like we are in that process. That the floodgates of sort of the deep waters on the collective level are now, we feel it. We feel the current of the deep waters, and those are the all what I call all of you guys. This is where I tune in to see what's about to manifest into the energy that's manifesting in this reality, the totality of human consciousness. As like I talk about, as the knowing and accepting yourself, you can only do this once you accept yourself as that Holy Trinity. This is what I talked about. Until you activate your own Holy Trinity, you can't really set a foundation for collective. And this is what I talk about, and this is why I talk about so much about the imposter God. And the imposter God, with apostles. Just like Jesus had apostles, the imposter God has lots and lots of apostles that help they help. All right, you guys. Hi, Savannah. Hi. All right. Any questions, you guys? Come on, no questions? No questions at all? All right. So then I guess I'm going to be talking about the I motifs and the 95% of junk DNA that is actually active. Okay. Ayahuasca, mushrooms, and other similar plant medicines. That is what is their relationship to the awakening of DNA and the Holy Trinity you referred to? Santa, beautiful question. Thank you so much. So I'm going to go into it. Okay. I need a sip of wine for that one, Santa. Talking about ayahuasca, because this is what I kind of, my thing is what I don't have experience with either of them, of those. So I'm not going to be able to say much, but I will tell you what those are used for in with the gatekeepers of the matrix and the God program gatekeepers. They use ayahuasca and they use mushrooms too in some way, but mushrooms are a lot more difficult to control. But the ayahuasca is fully it can be fully in that experience could be completely taken over and fully and very easily infiltratable. So when you do a ayahuasca ceremony, you basically opening up completely and you allowing every belief system that you have, including all the fear, because ayahuasca will operate and bring up all the fear. So it depends the intent of the ceremony And this is where infiltrators slip in to subconscious, the piggybacking of entities. And so many of the ayahuasca ceremonies that are done, Santo, out there in the world and right now, so I would say 95% um, of the so-called, the ones that are out there in New Age, all of those ceremonies, the people that do that, those are all done on that low binary vibration, using that ceremony to siphon the life force. And then basically what happens is um, it's a it turns into a black magic ceremony, to where a black magician then slips an a very powerful entity in through fear. And this is how they seed you with sort of with the entities. And this is basically the possession process. So many have turned that into possession process. And so many of those group ayahuasca ceremonies are usually a possession ceremony. Okay, just the same way as Ashayana Dean was doing her guardians DNA activations, there wasn't an ayahuasca involved, but those ceremony were involved in a different way, but very in a different way. Her techniques that she would receive from guardians, right? Because that's a predatory consciousness looking to trick human being for giving its life force. So what they're, these are feeding ceremonies, okay, and possession ceremony, because they seed you then, because it's all about suggestion. And this is another thing is why I study a lot of what hypnosis is all about and all of that stuff, and what state of mind, how trends state of mind. So that's sort of my cup of tea, you might want to say that. So that's why I do so much. So I study all of that stuff very, very diligently, in fact. So basically, so what happens is the way the patterns operate, there are similar patterns. So it depends what you can use it. You can use an ayahuasca ceremony with a shaman. And when you do it one-on-one, because a true shaman will know you cannot, it has to be done one-on-one with the shaman there and you. Because the shaman's there to guide you, and because if the shaman's doing it for the proper reasons, if the shaman is invoking all the fear entities for the purpose of healing, facing and overcoming yourself, that's what you do. And when the true shaman does that, true shaman goes on the journey as the facilitator, because this is an intimate and individual journey. And for those of you that done an individual hypnosis session with me, you know how the facilitation is so intricately entwined, and that process of going through this. I mean, imagine, for those of you that imagine if there was a bunch of other people doing the same thing in the room with you, going through that. Such a gentle process of you seeing everything what's in your field, every belief system, every fear you have, everything that is hiding in your trauma, Everything that is there, it's going to be shown to you, because that's what ayahuasca does. It opens up that field where you can see what's there. And so, and here comes your, the spiritual people, the special spiritual people that think that flower of life is gonna save them. They are gonna do ayahuasca for what reason? To set the possession in, to set that belief forever and ever. And they're going to use meaning. Imagine what they're doing, and how much life force it goes into that belief. Okay. And so, and this is, here comes your, all of this scumbags. I'm just calling them scumbags. I'm sorry. English is my second language. So I'm going to use this excuse and call them scumbags that do those group ayahuasca trips. Those are all seeding with entities. Those are disgusting, disgusting, disgusting black magic ceremonies. Very dark energies operating in those ceremonies. And can you guys guess why they have to do them in the group? So this is why there's a huge reason why they do the group thing. Because this consciousness doesn't understand anything but collective. Once an individual claims their own power, that thing doesn't know, it can't read you. They can't read you. They can't understand what you're talking about. They're like, what do you mean, Lily? What? I'm downloading still. I'm downloading Guardians and sending activation for DNA. I'm downloading. Lisa Renee had told us the activation is coming. We're going to ascend. We've been waiting since 2012. But we're waiting. We're patient, dum-dums. We're patient. We're waiting. Group possession, exactly, Danielle. Because that's what guardians are. It's a collective. Like I said, that's a goo. That's the black goo collective that lost their biological template and can only operate as ghosts. Yeah, they share because then once they put you, a human being, on this groupthink, right? Then that human being becomes like a source of food. So then all these entities can feed on them. And this is why Ashayana Dean was doing all these feeding ceremonies at the beach in Sarasota. You guys, I've seen it for what it is. My God, it's a freaking demon feast. And but why did she put always in the center of the circle? They would find the purest of the heart, the purest in the heart that would come into that workshop. They will identify that individual. And then she would say, Guardian told us, you special, you're going in the center of the circle. And yes, Black Goo Collective, Darcy. Hi, Darcy. That's what they are. So she said, Guardians had told us that you special. And I would look at their aura and I immediately see, oh, they have the most life force because I would see through the colors of their aura how their life force unfolding. And so here's a pure soul, pure heart. I'm like, oh, somebody, with the open sleeve, somebody comes, I'm gonna love everybody, guardians, they get to help me. Oh, I'm so special. I'm gonna go in the center. And then that individual with the pure heart goes in the center of the circle, and then the guardians do their thing. And do you guys think it's a coincidence that she made people stand in the ocean when they were doing this black magic ceremonies? And why did she make people to hold all of their hands standing in the ocean? Because they can suck more. Because electricity, and so through the water, because you are water, and through you, so the water then can help them to suck more, because through the air there's only so much of water through air, so, and even through the ground. So that's why that freaking scumbag of a piece of shit did the feeding ceremonies that way. And you guys, you know what happened? So this, pure heart, this innocent would stand in that circle, and it's over 400 people, right? And over 400 people aren't as just being seated. Okay. And so they need energy immediately to settle in, right? That belief system, whatever she programmed them, because they're programmers. So she programmed that, and they would see it, and that would set it in. And this is why she did the ceremony, you guys, as I said, because it's important to shamans to do the ceremony, because it sets as a belief it sets your intent. So their intent. And so they suck. And every single time, she did this every month, I think, in 2012, 11, 12, I think she did like every month or every 2 months. So she did how many? There was, I don't know, maybe a total of 50 total of workshops that she did. And every time she did this feeding ceremony, that individual or a group, they would pick a couple people sometimes. When the group is big, they would need 3 people to be in the center of the circle. The reason for that, you guys, is because then, they need, because there's a lot of entities that they're attempting to seed. And so, Darcy, she didn't us deceived. She didn't, Ashayana Dean didn't just deceive humanity. She sold out humanity for money, greed. She's so much freaking greed there, and a lot of evil entities there too, talking to her in her head. She's an MK Ultra through abuse and all of that. Split personality. That's why she kept changing her name. Split personality. That woman is completely broken. There is no individual anything there. There's nothing. It's just like, that's it. It's just downloading. That's it. It's a little bit more than a butt. Carrie Cassidy deceived herself when she willingly and knowingly went out there and protected Blood Market. She deceived herself, Carrie Cassidy. She all willingly and knowingly stepped on that bloody pedestal up to, like I said, choking, drowning, Carrie Cassidy's drowning in blood, in innocent blood. They think they're protected, Darcy, but they're not. They're not. So anyway, so that's that. Okay, on ayahuasca. So they use the same thing, but except like I told you about Asha and Nadine, because I experienced and I watched this whole thing. So that's why I told you. So very similar with ayahuasca experience, and here whoever's leading the group is seeding that collective goo. And that's basically what this whole thing is all about. Okay. Was there any other questions? Conferius, are you breaking? I'm breaking up for everybody, or is it just you? I actually had issues here, but with the internet. But you guys know that I told you before. I have ghosts in my computer. you know, you know how they like to act up. So they've been acting up a lot since my last journal too. Okay. Just cracking a little bit. Okay. So, all right, you guys. Any other questions did I miss? Let me go back really quickly. So you said the dean. Well, see, the other thing is Ashayana, Kara Cassidy, David Icke, Alex Jones. See, at one point or another, they played these drama queens. They play it at one point and another because that's just the master slave. That's all they know. Master slave. That's all they know. So masters of the slave, just like in the Django, because he was a slave. That's all. A slave only knows slavery. So a controlled individual who is MK Ultra, they're programmed that way. And you guys mentioned that now. I guess I lost Bethel Titty. Los Bethel Titty. Oh my God, what's his name? You guys mentioned what's his name? Is talking about doing ayahuasca now. Jordan Sether. I mean, he's my favorite MK Ultra guy because he just does exactly as he's told and how he's programmed, and he just goes. It's funny, and then, but you'll see in there like. You'll see in there, and the more you will look at this, you will see like with Jordan, everything is compassionless, Amy. Everything is compassionless, right? So it's just when you really look at it, there's no compassion at all because he's MK Ultra. Altered. The mind's altered. Okay. And so this is what I talked about, how it done on the individual level is sometimes the black goo treatments and stuff like that. Jordan said ayahuasca show him how deep the corruption conspiracy goes. Yeah, some people have an IQ good enough to know without ayahuasca how deep the conspiracy goes. But somebody's special like Jordan needs an ayahuasca to see, because they need to be programmed with what, without that, because ayahuasca will only bring up all the belief systems and make them real. So he looks at all of so he's been programmed. That's a perfect example, Amy. Thank you so much, because I didn't hear that from him, because I can't listen to that parroting anymore. It's like making me throw up every time. I don't like it. But anyway, so that's why he was showing, and now he's going to believe it. because he doesn't have an individual ability or capability because the mind's broken. This is what MK Ultra does, because that's why they do it before 7 years old, because mind is underdeveloped. So they break it when it's underdeveloped. So it can. When you break off the tree, it's not gonna grow. You know what I mean? So he needs the next level. And this is why I say he's been prepped. And that's why um mm, Santa Wilcock is is binging on a WikiLeaks because they've got nothing else, and they're waiting to snap and to see what others are saying, and so what happened? What happened to Benford? Full of shit, giving them information. Uh, Nothing. I know Jordan sure did trigger a lot of David Wilcock followers. I know, Diane, this is one of the things, like, okay, he just started and then he just went off on eliminating. Didn't Jordan just went off on Wilcock, eliminating him, destroying him, exactly as a predatory consciousness would do. So by their fruits, you'll know them. There's no surprises there at all. Jordan Maxwell made a deal, just like Ike did. That's why they were friends. But a lot of truth. He did say a lot of truth. But you know how they are. The twists are what they are. But you know what? I'm not coming from a negative. I'm a totally always neutral, you guys. And I'm very grateful to people like Jordan and even David Icke, you know, and even David Icke. It's just funny to me, I'm just pointing out where they showing themselves. I don't need to convince anybody. I'm just saying, go listen to yourselves. Okay. Bueno. How does US? Okay, Conferius, hold on. You had a question. Okay, Lily, would you mind telling us more about how does US wind up missing 500,000 of children annually? Who takes them and why? Would you please tell us? Purpose, gracias. Okay, Conferius, I'm gonna have to be talking a little bit in quotes here. Okay, almost knocked my wine. You know why, okay? So that subject is sort of it's part of the infiltration from within that happened here. And you guys all know, and I've talked about the assembly of club idiots. And so when you really go back to those years and what's been set up and what's been agreed upon, I have to be a little bit more careful than the last time, you guys. What was agreed upon before JFK, okay? That agreement in itself, then the big lie that agreement had, that cover for that big lie is where it's all sort of is rooted at, and this has to do with the infiltration of America. And you know by who, and you know why I know that, because it already happened to my bloodline. It already happened in my experience, all of it. And so there's nothing that can get away from me when it comes to those, you know who, Жиды, блядские Жиды. So yeah, it goes back to блядские Жиды. Okay? Conferius. That's who it goes back to. Okay, and the tactic is you have to go back and read Pale Horse. Pale Horse and that document, and the 100 pages document. So that is connected to that document. And Eisenhower betrayal. That's another sort of foundation for the purpose. Because of the experiments that, you can't bring that open into the open. What are you going to do? And why? So you got to have a cover. And so that was the big cover. And so, and that's what happened. And the thing is, it happened in Ukraine. Again, I'm talking about the Bolshevik in 1917. That's my parents, my dad experienced that. So actually, he experienced that. And so, and then the Ukraine thing that happened. So that was another sort of a repeat of the thing, and how it happened. And like I said in one of my videos in probably in 2016, I talked about the numbers of how many children are missing in Ukraine and Russia, and what was the purpose of Ukrainian government. And how they did what they did, and how they flooded in the 90s, how they flooded Ukrainian orphanages with kids. That was an operation, a Club Idiots Assembly operation that did what they did in Ukraine. So that's why I say my operation, I know what you did in Ukraine. So I hope you're ready. You Bletsky Жиди. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for this operation. So, yeah, but it was all about children too, you guys. So, yeah, and they did it really well. And in here, they had to be a lot more undercover. But again, everything was obvious. And you guys will find out that, just like in Ukraine, they did it through government. They did it through government. He was, Amy, he was, but not anymore. Not anymore. Okay. So I hope, Conferis, you understand. It's a very sensitive subject, so you can understand that. So you can understand how complex that crime really is. So that betrayal is really the betrayal of all humankind. It's the worst of them all. That I talk about, the betrayal. It's the worst of them all. So we are really living in the biblical times, aren't we? And the traitors and infiltrators. Because it's all, how it's done. It's always done through infiltration. So you guys know. Oh my God, 43 minutes. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. Okay. I guess not. Okay. Okay. Well, Conferis, you said I know this is a tough subject. It is, and this was tough. And sometimes, but the thing is, when it's in your face and you experience and you know your ancestors experienced it, um uh it just there's something that once you know the truth about it, you know, there is no stopping of you. You become this fearless warrior, and your ancestors will give you wings. And so this is why I'm talking about this subject right now, and so I am kind of talking about that. But as you guys will notice right now, and you will see, because it's coming up, you will see that many of the people out there have used this subject because it's so emotionally, it's just emotionally, because it's innocent children. So it's emotionally, you immediately connect to it. Anybody who has any of the sort of, you know, this much heart left in them, and 1 ounce of, you know, morals left in them, would immediately wanted to do something about it. So there's many out there, and you guys will see, and you're seeing it already. You're seeing it already, how the scum out there will turn it into money-making machine. And what are they doing right now? Making money off of suffering of children. What are they doing? Instead of freeing the children that they talk about in their documentary, that the children are being enslaved. So instead of doing more to actually have the action to back up their claims, what are they backing up their claims with? Lawsuits. Fighting for money. No, that's not the fruits that you're supposed to look at. Don't look at the fruits at all. Just look how popular they are. This is what we should look at. Don't look at the fruits that they bear. The fruits that they bear, greed. Greed. Buck or two. Just make buck or two on the suffering of innocent children. The other reason for that, I guess, is we talk about what all these different levels that then the children are used for. And then there is the sacrifice. So that's something I can't really go into details, but you guys understand this is, that reality is based on that. When that stops, that reality goes space dust. And so you understand that predator is fighting for its survival. Okay? So this is what's going on here. This is the what so much of that. Okay. What would I was going somewhere. Oh, shoot. Oh, agreements of exchange and the abuse, or okay, original agreement. Santo, the agreements and the exchange thing, it's very complicated. I'm still sort of I don't have a full kind of conscious picture on the how to, because I'm working on that, because there is a contract, and very recently, I thank you to my recent client for a personal session. Thank you so much. I'm not going to name your name, but thank you so much for, because I've learned something about the collective and the exchange and the contract that collective holds. And this is what I talk about, that the the collective and how that whole reality is actually structured. So I'm kind of and what's in that blood contract, and here what I was talking about, how Vatican play a role in that for collective. So I recently have sort of come into a bigger picture on that level. Let's just say that, and I'm very grateful for that experience, because it kind of made a lot of sense on whole many other different things. I don't know how else to, so I don't really have the words for it yet, but we're coming into unraveling of all of that, how that exchange happens, and what's at the foundation of that exchange. Okay. And there is a collective agreement that we collectively need to break. Okay, and so this is ultimately, I think, what we are going to come to a conclusion, and this is ultimately, I think, why we're doing this together in a way, the way with other shamans, the way we are. So, anyway, I think I hope I've gone into all the questions, you guys. It's already. Savannah, you said, how do I organize a session with you, Lily? Savannah, just send me um, an email, okay? I will post my email here, and it's actually, I'll just give it to you right now. It's Lila, Lila, dot Kolosova 12 at Gmail. Okay. So again, it's Lila. So it's instead of Y, it's A. So it's Lila dot Kolosova 12 at Gmail. Okay. Just send me a quick email and I'll respond to you. Okay. Thanks. All right, you guys. Looks like I've answered all the questions. About the children, Daniel, where is it? I'm gonna look for it, Daniel. Okay, Daniel, you said, is it true about the tunnels and the children? Well, there's a lot of misinformation there, quite a bit. And then there is a lot of right now an attempt. There is stuff going on, and like I said, it's a military op. I can guarantee you, it has nothing to do with any other agencies, because all other agencies are serving other purposes, and they're ultimately were not sort of built to handle that, because they were built to cover for that. So see what's happening. So there is just whole different situation going on here. So I hope you can understand that I can't say anything else about that, and I won't, because there is no point, because all of those others that are not involved, the reason they're not involved is because they're involved in cover up. So of course they're gonna create all kinds of disinformation, all kinds of sophisticated misinformation campaign. It's going to be coming at you from every direction, Daniel. And so you have to really, really have your gut feeling up, and your bullshit meter's got to be fully charged. You know what I mean? With those truths out there, with the truths, we're wearing a diaper. We can't think for ourselves.
we have to have we have to have our insiders because we too dumb to have any thoughts of our
own. Port Cali, you said Trump up, guys. Trump up, people. Trump up, world. Trumpets. Trumpets, trumpets. End times. We're living in end times, you guys. So anyway, so questions, answers again. Oh my God, the third and fourth strand DNA and all of that stuff. I still didn't really talk a lot about that. But it is what it is, you guys. I really enjoy this Vino Sundays. I feel kind of, for some reason, on Sunday, I feel very relaxed when I do this because I still get a little nervous and stuff, you guys. So anyway, so you guys, thank you so much, each and every one of you that joined me. I thank you so much for being here. I thank you so much for wonderful, wild questions. What an amazing questions. I hope I did my best to kind of contributing to your journey, on your individual shamanic journey, and that this was empowering to you. So stay strong, you wild wisdom warriors out there, and stay wild, absolutely wild. You are so much more powerful individually, because when you're individually standing in the center of your creation, you're connected to eternity. You are the eternity. And the rest of those on the dying timeline, excusez-moi, space dust, bitches. So here's to space dust, bitches. Here we go. Trumpets. All right, you guys, I love you all so much. Okay, make some noise out there. Put some of those, some of those petal on the karma pedestal. Let them burn, burn, baby, burn. Because that's what you're doing. Karma pedestal, dust to dust. Dust them, shamans, dust them. All those narcissists. All right, I love you all so much. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, Lily Kolosova.